talked about classic literature a few times on my channel, and I seriously love reading classics, and I kind of didn't read as many as I wanted to last year. And one of my wishes for this year was that I read more classics than I did last year, which isn't too hard to top because I think I didn't read more than 2 classics or something. So I've gathered some books, and these are some classics that are really high on my priority list. I'm gonna share them with you, and maybe you can let me know your favorite classic or a classic that you've been wanting to read for a while, and we can chat about them in the comments. And that's mostly it. I'll just tell you about the books. For most of these, there's no real specific reasons for why I chose them to read this year. I just went based on vibes and the ones I've wanted to read for a while. The first one I'm going to start with is purely because I've already started reading it, and my wish is to finish this year, and hopefully soon, because it's not that hard to read, and it's Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, of course. And I've already read Alice in Wonderland, I just haven't read Through the Looking Glass, which both of these are in here. If you don't know the story of Alice in Wonderland, it's about a girl who falls into a rabbit hole and lands in this wonderful, magical, weird place that is reminiscent of her real life, but very different indeed. And she just learns about life, and it's just a really sweet children's classic. I'm sure most of you know it. I would be surprised if you wouldn't. Alice in Wonderland is one of my favorite movies. I've always loved the animated version, and I also love the Tim Burton one, and I have a huge love with Alice in Wonderland, and I already read the first one and I enjoyed it so much, and it's so quick and easy to read, so I do want to read the second one. So that's that. Okay, the next one. This is not one of them, but I'm also gonna put 2 modern classics in here. I don't think those should be 2 different categories, because that would be unnecessary. But the next one is Maurice by E.M. Forster, and I've wanted to read this for a long time. I don't remember if I bought it last year or the year before that. I think maybe around this time, but last year. I was so excited and so desperate to read it, but then I just never did for some reason. Like I said, to be blamed on the lack of reading classics. Why I picked up this book, I think I saw a quote of it on TikTok or Pinterest, and I also am a huge fan of Oscar. And there's a backstory with this book and Oscar Wilde, and E.M. Forster is just such a great author, so let me read you the synopsis. A tale of bravery and defiance, this intensely personal novel was completed in 1914, but remained unpublished until after Forster's death in 1970. A founding work of modern gay literature, it tells the story of Maurice Hall, a privileged young man who finds himself increasingly attracted to his own sex. Through Clive, whom he encounters at Cambridge, and through Alec, the gamekeeper on Clive's country estate, Maurice gradually experiences a profound emotional and sexual awakening. Maurice offers a powerful condemnation of the repressive attitudes of British society, and is at once a moving love story and an intimate tale of one man's self-discovery. And just the impact this had on gay literature is the main reason why I want to read this, of course, because I have a huge shelf dedicated to gay and queer literature, and I think it's very important to know why stories such as this now get to be published much easier than they did back in the day, and read who paved the way. The next book is also a children's classic, which I didn't even think about, but I guess I have 2 children's classics in this list, and I think, I don't know, especially with spring coming and summer, I think children's classics are such a sweet thing and nostalgic time to read. The next book is The Railway Children by Edith Nesbit, and first of all, I am obsessed with this cover. I hope the camera's picking it up. I got this one in Dublin, really randomly. I never planned on, oh my god, it has a little envelope. I hope you can see it. I'll check if you can see it, but I just thought the cover was beautiful, and I've obviously heard about the story, I just never read it, and maybe it's time to read it now. Let me tell you about it. When father goes away with 2 strangers one evening, the lives of Roberta, Peter and Phyllis are shattered. They and their mother have to move from their comfortable London home to go and live in a simple country cottage, where mother writes books to make ends meet. However, they soon come to love the railway that runs near the cottage, and they make a habit of waving to the old gentleman who rides on it. They befriend the porter, Perks, and through him learn rural law and much else. They have many adventures, and when they save a train from disaster, they are helped by the old gentleman to solve the mystery of their father's disappearance, and the family is happily reunited. I don't know, maybe I'm too obsessed with cottagecore, but that just sounds lovely to me. Now the last classic, before I talk about the modern classics, is Jane Austen's Emma. And first of all, I am so in love. I'm so in love with this copy. I really do hope the camera is picking up all the detailing, but it's so pretty. And also, this is yes, I judge books by the cover, but what I also judge books by, which I should judge them more harshly by, because I have some terrible books in this category. I'll show you. That's the paper quality, and I'm not saying that I want good paper quality, but there's a certain paper quality that I adore, and I love this one because it's very soft, and also I think the formatting is pretty nice in here. With some classics, the formatting is a little tricky. But yeah, I've read Persuasion and Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and probably another one that I'm forgetting right now. Anyway, and I hear really good things about Emma, and I also really want to read the movie, so I might just make another books to movie adaptation video, because I really enjoyed making the last one. Don't know much about Emma. I've heard some things, and well, I quite frankly know Jane Austen's writing style. But I just love this cover, and I think spring/summer is a good time to read this. I'll read you the quote that is written on the back. Seldom, very seldom, does complete truth belong to the human disclosure. Seldom can it happen that something is not a little disguised or a little mistaken. I'm gonna look for a synopsis in the internet. I don't know if I'm the only one, but when I read non-classics, I often pick up books based on vibes or maybe some catchphrases I've heard about it and just read them based on that, and I kind of sometimes don't want to know really what the book's about to be surprised, but with classics I kind of like knowing what it's about going into it. I don't know why that is. Maybe because of the writing style. The novel centers on Emma Woodhouse, a precocious young woman whose misplaced confidence in her matchmaking abilities occasions several romantic misadventures. That's Emma. Yeah, like I said, I really want to watch the movie, and I love reading classics, and I've heard great things, and I love this copy, so I shall be reading this very soon, I think, maybe. I also just, now that I've seen the formatting, I think I really want to read it. Now, the last two we have are both modern classics, and both very recent additions to my collection, because, like I've said, the other classics I've had on my shelf for quite a long time, and I have a huge, comparing to my other genres, I have a huge classics collection. So the first of the modern classics is William S. Burroughs' Queer, and if you've seen any of my recent-ish film-related content, I did just recently watch Queer, and there's something I love about a movie, and it's when after the movie I just continuously want to learn about it and research it and hear theories and interpretations and analysis, and I just like when a movie makes me think about it for a long time, and that same thing has happened with Queer. And I got this book really randomly, and I immediately wanted to read it, but then I somehow didn't, which sucks, because now I'm not in the hyperfixation that deeply anymore, I guess, but I do still really want to read it, and I do want to read it sooner than later. That is why I'm prioritizing it for this year. I obviously know a bunch about the plot because of the movie, but I also watched a lot of video essays or read some pieces, and yeah, I just really want to read it for myself. This is what Queer is about. Originally written in 1952, but not published until 1985 due to its outspoken depiction of homosexual desire, Queer is an unflinching autobiographical self-portrait and a coruscating political novel. Burroughs' only realist love story, and Burroughs' only realist love story and a comic grotesque fantasy that paved the way for his masterpiece Naked Lunch. And also, I really want to read some of his other work, but maybe I'll decide which one after I read this. Maybe I won't even like his writing style, which I don't think so. There's also very much an ongoing theme on me reading queer books that are very important to queer history, which I love, and which is very important. Set in Mexico City during the early 50s, Queer follows William Lee's hopeless pursuit of an apathetic young man called Eugene Allerton, from bar to bar in an American expat scene. As Lee breaks down, Burroughs' trademark voice emerges, a mix of self-lacerating humor and the ugly American at its ugliest. A haunting tale of possession, exorcism, Queer is also now with a history of secrets, as this new edition reveals. That is Queer by William Burroughs, and the last book is the most recent edition out of all of these, and it's Nostalgia. I'm not even going to try and pronounce this man's name, which very disappointing because my family is from Romania, but I am not going to. But one of my goals this year was to read Romanian literature, and sadly I only found male authors, which, if you have any recommendations, please do let me know. Especially I want to read literary fiction, and especially want to read modern literary fiction, and I would appreciate some female authors. I just really struggled to find female ones, and that's saying a lot because I really did try. Anyway, Nostalgia is a very weird and complex story which I'm kind of scared to read, but I'll tell you about it, and then I will definitely let you know if I do read it anytime soon, because I really want to. And out of all of the Romanian books I got this year, I really want to read this one first. A dreamlike novel of memory and magic, Nostalgia turns the dark world of communist Bucharest into a place of strange enchantments. Here, a man plays increasingly death-defying games of Russian roulette. A child messiah works his magic in tenements. A young man explores gender boundaries. A woman relives her youth. And an architect becomes obsessed with the sound of his new car horn, with unexpected consequences. Blending reality and symbolism, time and myth, this is a cult masterwork from Romania's most celebrated writer. And those are all the books. This is a very short video, but I do hope you enjoyed me telling you about all of them, because I really am excited to read them. And like I said in the beginning, please let me know your favorite classic and maybe recommend me one. And then while you're at it, also tell me of one you've always wanted to read but haven't yet. I'll see you in the next one.